Welcome to part 2 of my sarcastic takes on Focus on the Family's Primer for Christians confused about how sex and gender work, written by Christians confused about how sex and gender work. In part 1, we discussed how Christians base their whole understanding of sexuality and gender off one flimsy line in Genesis that has to be pounded and smashed and breaded like a veal cutlet to mean what they want it to mean, and how science and psychology dispute their backward take. Today we're going to be looking at where they think the problem lies and their own ignorant take on gender. Basically, this section could be titled, How You Can Avoid Having a Trans Child. Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I'm an atheist and skeptic, and this week we are looking at pig-ignorant ideas about how to do sex ed to kids. This week, as I'm writing and recording, news has come out that the U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, addressed a group of people saying he thinks he was called by God to be Aaron, or Moses, or whatever dumb fuckery. Yeah, that's not narcissistic as fuck for a dude no one knew a couple months ago. The Christian nationalists have a sugar rush over this power. So, when people wonder why atheists pay attention to what Christians are saying, critique it, go over it, this is why. Christians are not content to live out meek lives praying in their Bible reading groups. They want to impose their view on everyone, claiming the mantle of God's spoke douchebag on earth. And make no mistake, Mike Johnson and people like him subscribe to some of the views we are talking about here. So with that blibbity blab out of the way, let's get cracking. Just FYI, I will be summarizing, but feel free to either go to the original site and look at it or pause the video and see if you think I'm representing it well. It's just, I feel like there's a lot of filler and we don't need to read every word. I want to pull out highlights. It's a long page. With that said, we have this header, How can parents help instill a secure and stable sense of sexual identity as God designed? Translation, no homo and no trans. Let's see where they go. This introductory paragraph basically says parents should nurture a, quote, healthy biblical view of gender and sexuality, and points to other resources on the FOTF website. They have tons and tons, by the way. Now, I take issue with the confluence of the words healthy and biblical. Those are in contradiction in my mind, and I'll talk about why in a moment. Just to provide a TLDR, I think that the biblical view Christians have pieced together creates a shame cycle around sex, making healthy behaviors sinful and lumping everything that has to do with sex, masturbation, porn, holding hands and kissing, even rape, into one barrel and declaring it all evil and not piecing apart what each thing actually represents. Did a video on this a while back, so let's keep going. The next paragraph starts, initiate early, consistent, age-appropriate sex education at home. And a lot of this seems fine. To summarize, teach kids about their bodies, have open communication about sexuality, educate yourself about childhood sexual development. I, too, support age-appropriate sex education. But focus on the family means sex education from a, quote, faith perspective to make sure your child gets trustworthy biblical teaching. They link to a page which is about what you would expect. Lots of purity culture bullshit. I was going to link and talk about it, but I think we all know the drill. Sex is between a husband and wife, only for procreation. Don't do anything ever at all, not even kiss or hold hands until after you're married. Sex represents Jesus fucking the church or something? I never understood the symbolism of sex and Jesus in the church, but my bad, I guess. They claim that this is a way to avoid shame, but I cannot imagine a better way to instill feelings of guilt and shame than to say that normal feelings are evil unless you've had the preacher say a spell over you and a person of the opposite sex. You can't even hold hands or kiss until the proper ceremony takes place. And let's be clear, nothing magic happens at a wedding. I mean, they're beautiful. I love weddings. Done myself a couple of times. But I can't imagine how many Christian couples are surprised by bad or even painful sex on their wedding night, and even after, because they think God downloads sex knowledge once you've said the proper invocation. I won't go into it all because it's a huge long tangent, and there are plenty of vids out there about why it's bad. But I do want to point out this one line about wives being a type of church to future husbands, and we're getting ready to talk about gender roles, so keep this in mind. Women are like a building the husband enters. But to sum up their whole view of this quote-unquote healthy biblical sexual teaching, Purity culture, rah, 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 and your kids won't get transed, I guess. Next up, we worry about contamination. It reads, become aware of any patterns creating problems at home. Watch for cues that your child may have experienced something that confuses or bothers them. Ask them questions and help them identify their feelings and when those began. If you uncover issues you don't know how to handle, seek the counsel of a professional Christian counselor. Consider these possibilities. Now, I'm all for helping children understand the world and even getting professional help, but here only Christian counselors need apply, so everyone can double down on purity culture and centering God. But mainly this section is about reinforcing that any deviation from the cis-het purity-laced poison stew that FOTF promotes is because of trauma. So here are some possibilities. I don't understand this bullet point system. The top one is dark and the others are hollow, round. They don't seem to be subheads. They all seem to be different things, but whatever. So the first bullet, has there been a breakdown in the child's family life, such as abandonment, foster care, adoption, infidelity, separation, divorce, cohabitation, or remarriage? I have to agree that these are things that children need help getting through and processing their emotions. So nothing really odd here, but that doesn't mean that your child is going to be trans or gay or whatever. Okay, second bullet. Has the child over-identified with, perceived rejection from, or been abused or abandoned by one parent? These are just radically different, and the one that really is most striking to me is the abused by the parent or abandoned by the parent. When we've supposedly set up this perfect system of marriage, making children, and it's all love and a reflection of God and all that, why would a perfect God allow this? I don't know. The over-identified with, that might be something to deal with, I agree, but a lot of this, yes, a child would need help handling this. A child would need help processing emotions and understanding that what happened was not their fault. But your child's not going to be trans because of this, okay? All right, next bullet. Is your child a trauma survivor, or is he or she suffering from depression or other mental illness? Again, these are kind of different things, but once again, why is Yahweh allowing these perfect Christian situations to happen? I thought this was all supposed to be a reflection of the church. Oh, wait, I think it is. Next bullet, are LGBT media influences or people close to the child influencing them with extreme or unhealthy modeling of what it means to be male or female? I do agree that children need help and guidance in managing the online world and everything, but this modeling of what it means to be male or female, you could just say that's how that person is, and you're done with it. It doesn't have to be a model for them. Like, not everything is a model. Just say those people are the way they are. There are lots of people we disagree with in the world. They don't have to be models for anything. But anyway, of course we want a very strict idea of what gender is. We'll get to that in a little bit. Next bullet. Have friends or family members exposed your child to pornography? Again, why would God allow this? Anyway, doesn't mean your child is going to be gay or trans. There's plenty of straight porn out there. And then finally, has your child been a victim of sexual abuse? Maybe within a church. I know that they're not dealing with that here, but it's really striking to me that there is a lot of sexual abuse in lots of churches, Catholic Church being most famous, but there's a lot more than that. The JWs, the Mormons, on and on and on. So many churches have abused children. Why would this happen? I don't know. And a lot of those children, guess what? They grow up to be cis-het, normal people that have to process their abuse. So, in summary and conclusion, God will allow your child to go through trauma, and then perhaps they will be a sexual deviant. Given this emphasis on the fact that trauma creates these problems, this next part is a little perplexing. It reads, focus on enjoying God instead of simply teaching moral behaviors. One of the biggest misperceptions about Christianity is that it's simply about acting right. When Christian parents overemphasize their child's behavior rather than their heart, the real message they send often has more shame than love. This distorted view of the gospel leads people to reject traditional gender roles as being just another Christian idea that's outmoded and unnecessarily restrictive. Okay, so if this is in your heart, if you're reading your heart, then what does the trauma have to do with it? How are these two ideas connected? I don't know. Then we finalize the message our kids and the world really need to hear is that forming your spirit in deep friendship with God is the only way to peace, salvation, and your true identity. Now, I don't know what it means to form your spirit in deep friendship with God because I don't know that he exists, and he's definitely not coming down and talking to me, and it's not like any other friendship that I have had. And I was religious at one time. There wasn't really a friendship there. And how do you know what somebody's true identity is? How do you know that this is what's going to bring a person peace? Like this, you're just saying this. We're just saying stuff now, which fine. All right, let's go on. Next up, we have prioritize honoring God above pleasing people. Honoring God out of reverence for who he is and from gratitude for his saving grace is an appropriate heart response toward our Creator. However, others around us may care very little or even ridicule this kind of living from our faith. When people close to us aim to pull us away from this devotion, boundaries are necessary. Loving God results in loving others, but dishonoring God inevitably leads to dishonoring others as well. This is important to remember as we protect our children and teach them to guard their hearts and minds. So TLDR, we've got some nice Christian persecution in here that people might ridicule you, but mainly what we are saying is listen to FOTF and not anyone in the world. They're saying don't listen to any other ideas because they're only there to ridicule you. Listen to us, don't listen to them. It's about guarding your hearts and minds. Don't let that contamination in. So yeah, beware outside influences, but the contamination might also come from within. Here is the next paragraph. So much of the reasoning behind the LGBT movement is based on people's feelings and experiences. Their legitimate pain calls out for compassion and support, touching our hearts as it should. But when we elevate people's stories, feelings, preferences, and experiences above scriptural truth, we have built a house of cards instead of a foundation for life. Those who create their own principles of sexuality are not models to follow. Only God's perfectly designed plan, as communicated in his word, should be the standard to which we aim. So we've already talked about how the fact that there aren't just the two sexes, much less how many genders there are, it shows that whatever they're talking about is bullshit. But what I find really fascinating about this paragraph is that Christians themselves often say that they believe in God because they feel him. Matt Slick had an emotional experience that led him to becoming Christian. William Lane Craig has said he thought if there was a slight chance that Jesus, God, loved him, it was worth it. And experiences? How many Christians say they had some experience they interpreted as being God's hand in their life? And frankly, the whole Christian conversion story genre is elevating some people's stories, feelings, and experiences above scriptural truth. For fuck's sake, FOTF, go buy some self-awareness. It's cheap. Amazon can deliver it today. So basically, if you think God helped you find a parking space or your keys or healed Aunt Thelma's breast cancer, why aren't people's experiences of their own gender orientation or identity valid expressions of your God's message? Or because Adam and Eve were mystery married in a garden and told to procreate, they can't be that way? Oh, come on, do better, FOTF. Let's keep going. Well-meaning Christian parents may fall into the trap of thinking it's loving to acquiesce to their child's gender struggle without considering the more important responsibility of shepherding their eternal souls. But putting your acceptance of your child's preferences and behavior above their relationship with God doesn't truly help them. As Edmund Burke wrote, whatever disunites man from God also disunites man from man. And it's like, so what? Well, first of all, like, how do you know that they have a soul? And who are you to second guess God's perfect creation? How do you know that some person who's trans can't have a relationship with God and that's what God has chosen for them? How can you demonstrate that? All right, let's keep going. The next paragraph really doesn't add much to what we've already said. It's just filler. Let's go on to the next one. All right, we're up to the interesting part, gender roles. And their header reads, take your gender roles from scripture, not man-made tradition, family, or feelings. I love it. They think that scripture is separate from man-made tradition. Oh, but heaven forfend, we actually have feelings about what our sex and gender are. Like, our psychology is part of who we are. All right, I'm already digressing. Let's see what this paragraph says. All right, it reads, it's possible for a family to be quite healthy and their child still experience gender dysphoria. Kids react in various ways to forces outside the home every day. Also, children may perceive relationships and their place in the family in ways adults may never expect. That's why, for many families, the roots of their child's confusion began at home without their parents even realizing it. So you don't say, children may not have experienced trauma and still be trans? Well, slap my face with holy water and call me Sally. You don't say. Let's see where this goes. Next paragraph. Some Christians who are upset over their child's trans identity may also be embracing their own skewed version of masculinity and femininity. Their view of what it means to be male or female or how to live that out seems normal to them because it's based on their own personal comfort zones or what they saw growing up. Some people unconsciously continue their own parents' unhealthy patterns, others react to them and become legalistic or dogmatic. But neither of these approaches are much more stable than what their teen may be doing by basing gender on individualized feelings. I should have created an FOTF bingo card. Legalism. Oh my gosh. Note to self, make FOTF bingo card. Okay. All right, so people don't have the right idea about gender. Do tell. Where do these ideas come from? How do they have skewed ideas of masculinity and femininity? Weren't they raised to have this perfect vision based on the scriptures? You know, it's funny. Maybe it's that people are thinking about the scriptures with their own minds and their own feelings. All right, let's keep going. The next paragraph reads, rather, focus on the overall theme woven in scripture and in nature that male and female are equally valuable and complementary, each displaying aspects of God as their differences work together. Yeah, okay, complementary. I really should have prepared a bingo card. I'm going to skip this next section because it's all about the dangers of legalism and teens be rebelling, so skip because yawn forever. Next up, it reads, to see how family systems reap consequences in a child's perception of gender and sexuality, let's examine just one example of an unhealthy, imbalanced family system. Of course, the overbearing parent can be either sex, but for the sake of discussion, we'll say there's a family with a controlling, domineering father and an anxious, passive mother. Okay, cool. We're setting up our hypothetical family. Let's go. A girl raised in an atmosphere of chauvinism and misogyny often develops a distorted view of womanhood. Ooh, more bullet points. She may think her value lies in always being passive and subservient. Oh yeah, where would she get that idea in Christian culture? Second bullet, she may feel her only other option is to rebel and demand her rights in traditionally masculine ways. Oh my gosh, she might have some masculine traits. Do tell, FOTF. Last bullet, her ability to relate to males can be delayed or distorted. I don't even understand what that means. And I'm not really sure about connecting it with what we said before. This isn't like seeing how the hypothetical family plays out. If she wants to be a man, which is what I presume they're saying here, why wouldn't she be able to relate to men? I don't get that. Let's go to the next section about a boy. A boy raised in this type of imbalanced family system may struggle to develop a healthy sense of his own sexuality and that of the opposite sex. Bullet 1, he may feel disconnected from his father. Bullet 2, he may develop an overall negative association with masculinity. Bullet 3, he may over-identify with his mother and sisters. And 4, he may seek to connect with other men in unhealthy ways to fill his father wound. Oh, I can't even with this website. That is the worst way of saying he might be gay. All of this, like, obviously he's effeminate and he doesn't like masculinity, and yeah, and I have this dirty language about filling your father wound in my head, and I know I'm not supposed to be thinking about porn when I'm thinking about Christianity, but somehow it just lends itself to that. Anyway, what I'm struggling with is why, if you are following scripture, why would this perfect God allow all this to happen? Why would he allow parents to be abusive to children and to raise children in ways that would not make them be healthy, well-adjusted members of society? It's just a strange thing. Like, you're supposedly doing all the right words, spells, prayers, whatever, and it's not turning out right. And we just don't question that, I guess. But I am wondering where these legalistic parents who aren't communicating appropriately about gender, where might they have gotten these ideas? Oh, from another page of FOTF? Let's go see what they have to say. This page is called Key Differences Between Male and Female. And I'm going to skip down to just the differences and let's see what they say. A male's orientation toward life tends to be outward. Point 1, explorative. Every boy and every man is on a quest. He discovers his identity out there in the world where he senses his larger purpose and destiny lie. That is the basis of a lot of traditional literature, but it doesn't necessarily have to be true only of males. Okay. 2, determined to deliver the goods. A man takes great stock in knowing that he has what it takes to complete the quest and accomplish the task at hand. You know, that's just human beings, dude. 3, needs to know what's next. Unlike a woman, he isn't inclined to cuddle, to savor meaningful experiences, or to linger in the moment. Generally speaking, he's anxious to move on to the next thing. You know, I think, first of all, that's wrong, and I've known many men who have cuddled and savored meaningful experience and lingered. I think this is like just stupid, and a lot of people want to know what's next, and they can do both. You can actually do both. Number 4, opportunistic. To put it another way, the male is a doer, and in the final analysis, his feelings about what he's doing or his reasons for doing it are less important to him than the urge and the opportunity to get it done. I would say that's not true of all men, and I would say it's true of some women. Let's keep going. Takes chances. To seize and make the most of his opportunities, a boy or a man must be willing to take chances. Accordingly, a propensity to run a certain degree of risk is fundamental to the male character. Not all of them, dude. I don't even know what you're talking about. Some of them, yeah. Not all of them. And guess what? Some women take chances too. Initiator. All of this presumes a certain willingness and ability to take the bull by the horns and make things happen. It also suggests that leadership, while not necessarily an exclusively male prerogative, is nevertheless more deeply rooted in the nature of men and boys. Note, active and aggressive. Oh yeah, keep it up. Keep it up. Active and aggressive. There's an obvious connection between initiation and active aggression. Is there now? There's an obvious connection between initiation and active aggression? All right. In light of this, it's interesting to note that the male brain is 2.5 times larger and more vital in the center devoted to aggression and action than the female brain. Citation needed, please. And competitive and dominant. Men want the best and will expend incredible energy toward getting it. Yeah, because no other gender will. All right, yeah, a lot of stereotypes here, and of course it's not all true. And, sometimes you can do this and do something else and be a different way. Let's see what it says about females. A woman's perspective tends to be more inwardly directed. Point 1, confidently enticing. Unlike the male who must go out in the world to find his destiny, the woman possesses her future within herself. She has a hidden but deep confidence in this. Women be a mystery, I guess. I don't know. I think this is dumb. No. Women go out too. Women have jobs. Women go outside the house. This is dumb. Point 2, values intimacy above action. A woman cares more about being than doing, and she finds the reason for her being in relationship. I think all humans find that they are in relationships. The relationships may vary, and this is just very stereotypical, but there are a lot of women that are doers and do things with other people. Point 3, wisely, selectively receptive. Though she values relationships above all else, a woman does not enter into them indiscriminately. She chooses slowly and receives wisely. This sounds like an aphorism. This sounds like something you get out of a fortune cookie. There are lots of women, unfortunately, that do not choose slowly and wisely. You would wish this upon them, but it's just not the truth. Point 4, seeks security. Because her orientation is inward toward relationships, nurturing, and nesting, the female of the species puts a premium on safety and security. To a far greater extent than the male, she values qualities like dependability and trustworthiness in a potential mate. So I guess men don't want women to be dependable and trustworthy? I just have to say that I've known a lot of men who wanted security as well. They really weren't seeking thrills and all that kind of stuff. And so this is just dumb. Out the window. Let's go on. Next point, prefers modesty. A confident woman knows that she possesses something very precious and valuable, the power of her femininity, and she is driven by an innate desire to protect it. Modesty is fundamental to her nature. I don't think so. I think that people have to be taught this. I think that we have to be taught that there's something about our bodies that we shouldn't be showing because it's not natural. All right, next up, caring. The female is more naturally inclined to respond to the distressed, the needy, or the hurting with immediate compassion and care. I know a lot of men who are caring. I know a lot of women who weren't. So there goes that. Next up, uses words. Men talk to communicate information or ideas. Women talk to communicate feelings and thoughts. As a result, women tend to use more words than men. Women be chatty, I guess. I just feel like this person has never actually met other humans. They're just spewing stereotypes. Let's go to the last ones. Desires equity and submission. A woman wants to be a man's equal, but an equal of a very special kind. At a deep and fundamental level, she has a strong desire to be led, protected, and cared for. Nope. I think all humans want to be cared for, but this is very stereotypical. Next up, wields soft power, which shapes humanity. Women have the ability to wield great and subtle influence in marriage and domestic relationships. I feel like they're just padding here. The last one, connecting. The female is wired to connect with others on many different levels. Yeah, we're just padding this out, making it look like there's more. But I'll tell you, there's nothing more stereotypical than this list of things that they say, and you wonder why Christians have these warped ideas about gender, or why they might want to break out of these roles. And by the way, I am not saying that if you disagree with these gender roles that they put on this page that you're trans or non-binary. I think that we can all identify as cisgendered and say, this is garbage. That's not who I am. Even though my gender is X, I am these things. Human beings, we actually have a wide array of things that are happening within us that people have wanted to attribute to gender and are not part of gender. There's so many other snarky comments I guess I could have said, but I don't want this video to go on forever because it might. I do want to wrap up the original page we were on. There is an anecdote. This is Grace's story. Harry and Linda have been married for 20 years and have 6 children. Their oldest, Grace, is 15. Lately, she has started dressing in very masculine clothes and binding her breasts when she goes out. Harry responds to this the same way his dad did whenever he got out of line, by loudly demanding she cut it out, or else she'll never get to leave the house again. Linda just wants to keep the peace and avoid the conflict that she grew up in. She tries to intervene by privately begging Grace not to upset her father. I just want to point out how dumb this anecdote is. Notice the focus on the parents, how long they've been married, how many children they have. This dad is apparently overbearing. The mother sounds codependent and enabling. So it looks like this truly is a dysfunctional family that need lots of help. But this isn't about being trans. This just frames trans as another way to rebel, like drinking or acting out or whatever. But, scary, am I right? Like, who cares what Grace is actually feeling? If she's trans or non-binary, if she's exploring and questioning what this has to do with anything, we don't know, and there's no conclusion. It's just legalism equals this person acting out, rebelling, being trans. So there you go. Raise your children in purity culture. Be on the lookout for any trauma. But even if there isn't trauma, they might still be trans because it might be legalism, like Grace's story. These little anecdotes do lend credence to it, although who knows if these people are real. Somebody could have just sat there in their office thinking this up, going like, how can I make up a story that goes along with what I'm saying? Oh, here we go. But that's what I have for you today on a Christian take on gender and being trans. What did you think? Put it in the comments below. You might have a snarkier comment than I, and I would love to hear it. And while you're down there, like and subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. I love it when you do the YouTube stuff. And if you like what I do, you can buy me a coffee. That link is in the description below. And I will see you next time for more gender confusion and Christianity. Bye for now.